making some sort of headway. Indeed, in the end, they're forced to go all the way back to Steffen, and Liverpool have got a second goal. Zach Steffen dwelt on the ball too long, and Sadio Mane slid in with a tackle.
What's up, lads? In that last clip, you saw Zach Steffen, who's one of the front runners for the American goalkeeping position, make a pretty critical error, which sort of sparked the start of a bunch of different questions about the position, who's going to play there, and a lot of issues that we saw sort of in that position leading into the World Cup. So during World Cup qualifying for the 2022 cycle, we saw both Zach Steffen and Matt Turner essentially split time, both playing in each other's place when they were injured, and essentially being the two go-to goalkeepers that Greg Berhalter looked for during qualifying. Both performed well, and Zach Steffen, while he didn't get quite as many opportunities, didn't quite look as comfortable as Matt Turner did in those opportunities. As you can see, Matt Turner keeping a few more clean sheets given the games he played. Now, while the initial concern sort of got sparked by that Zach Steffen clip from earlier, the sort of growing issues became a little bit more present, with both players sharing a lot of characteristics that they both are backup goalkeepers on their team, which results in both also not getting as much playing time. The lack of playing time leading to less chances, and both of them also having an issue sort of controlling the ball. The inability to control the ball is sort of a growing concern just because a lot of modern football systems require goalkeepers to play with their feet. They require the ability to go back to the goalkeeper and be able to distribute the ball from back there. So given that, a lot of people started looking at some of the other goalkeeping options. They started raising questions saying maybe we shouldn't go with these two goalkeepers, given the fact that both of them are backups, not getting much playing time. So I just laid out a few, I put in 4 different goalkeepers we could go with. The initial one is going to be Ethan Horvath. He's played with the national team, and he's played well in the games that he got. But the issue is that he's also a backup on Nottingham Forest in the 2nd division of English football. Now, the second is Gabriel Slonina, who is one of the breakout MLS talents, who's had an insane run of play in the MLS and has looked really, really good. The main issue with him is that he's 17 years old, and adding more youth to an already young squad could pose a lot of issues. And the final 2 that I laid out are Sean Johnson and Tyler Miller, both MLS goalkeepers, neither really standing out, but both of them kind of offering a bit more experience. Now, those are just a few of them, but none of them really standing out over the current 2 goalkeepers, Zach Steffen and Matt Turner. So, with all that in mind, the biggest question is, will Berhalter consider any of the alternative options? Now, Berhalter, between all 14 games of qualifying, only used Zach Steffen and Matt Turner. That was it. It seemed as though he never really considered the goalkeeping position a rotational one, whereas almost every single other position we've seen at least 2 to 3 different players play in it. Additionally, regardless of playing time, Steffen and Turner are still playing on top-tier clubs, so that means the week-in, week-out training they're receiving is still by top-tier coaches, top-tier trainers, as well as the medical staff. Finally, the transfer window comes up in June and lasts until September, and with Zach Steffen being rumored to potentially be looking for first-team options on a loan or transfer, we could actually end up having a goalkeeper playing as the primary option for a club. Now, I don't really think that we'll see Matt Turner change clubs, given the fact that he just arrived there. But we could see one of Arsenal's goalies get rotated out, and Turner get a few more first-team reps in. Now, this sort of made me think, are these concerns even valid? And in my opinion, I would say that for these to be valid, we should have been hearing about these a long time ago. They've been very, very known things between Turner and Steffen not really being able to play consistently with their feet. I would say that rather than it being brought up from just an isolated incident, it should have been called for a long time ago. And the fact that it wasn't makes it more of a sudden concern. Additionally, I think that rather than playing with this goalkeeper that's having to possess and distribute and pass the ball at the back with a bunch of inexperienced center backs that don't really play that style in their club, I think we should change our style of play that didn't even look that great in CONCACAF when we were trying to do it. So this formation here that I laid out is just the 4-3-3, where the United States is basically looking to play it back to the goalkeeper and shift the ball from one side of the field to the other. And we're looking to do this mainly because we're trying to limit the amount of time they have on the ball. And this works really well against weaker opponents when you can do it correctly. But if you can't do it correctly, it just ends up resulting in a lot of useless possession where we're passing the ball around the back. There aren't really any options in the midfield because people aren't used to playing that system. And a lot of the time the reason it works is because you have players that are used to playing that system. And it was very, very clear throughout all of qualifying that a lot of the team wasn't. Now, adapting your style is sort of what I mentioned earlier, where we are currently playing this possession style that requires the goalkeeper and center back to connect in a way where they're able to find the passing lanes and also move in ways to where they aren't being blocked by an attacking player. A lot of the time it failed to work in qualifying and it resulted in that useless possession I mentioned earlier. Now, the style that I would like to adapt to is one where we're more counterattacking, where we kind of have numbers behind the ball often. It results in a lot more simple defensive positioning where you aren't having to worry about where you need to be to receive the ball, and more so where you are in relation to the attacker. Along with that, it also allows a lot of the speedy players we have out wide to really take control of the game. Now, lastly, the main question of who should start is on everybody's minds, where I personally like Matt Turner. I think that both players are decent options, especially going into the World Cup, where we're going to see a lot of international friendlies and also the CONCACAF tournament that's going on in the summer. I would like to see both players get playing time there. I think that leading into the World Cup, we should 100% consider both Matt Turner and Zach Steffen. I think that both have positives and could also end up playing really well for their club, especially if one of them is able to find a starting role. I think along with that, you should also consider how they looked with the backline that we're wanting to start. Because a goalkeeper's positioning and what they're looking for is often different based on the backline they're playing with. Obviously, they'll know how to adjust based on the players they're used to playing with. But other than that, that's all for me. Thanks a lot for watching. Like the video if you liked it. Comment, let me know who you think should start, whatever. I'll try and get a video out every week, but appreciate it, guys.